Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is breathwork and life coach Christine Hart-Savage, and the topic we'll be discussing today is understanding overwhelm and sensitivity. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Megan. It's lovely to be here.
We're happy to have you, Christine. Christine, tell us a little bit about overwhelm and sensitivity. Do you have any personal experience with that?
I certainly have lots of personal experience with it. I've had a very interesting journey in my life with overwhelm, and it's been huge. So the first time I remember this feeling coming over me, I didn't know it was overwhelm and I didn't know it was sensitivity back then. Had no idea. I was actually very young. And I remember this feeling coming over me of confusion and thinking, I don't understand this world. Really did not understand this world from very young. And I was almost frightened of this world, because what I found is that people would be speaking certain words, saying one thing, and yet I was having this swirling feeling coming from, now I know, from the other person. But at that stage when I was younger, I thought it was me. And I would just feel always very, very confused within myself. And what I find is that sensitivity, there's a lot of sensitive people that don't know they're sensitive, but they really sort of, it brings up this feeling of fear and self-doubt within you, and you feel a bit rocked, like not steady and stable within yourself. So what I found over the years, in fact, it took me till my early 30s to actually work out what was mine and what was someone else's.
Right, so this was a feeling you recognised at that point.
Absolutely. I recognised it because I learnt to meditate and I learnt to breathe correctly. And when I was in those states of meditation, I felt really still and calm, incredibly calm inside. And then I'd go back out into the world. And if I met somebody who was really speaking one thing, feeling something else, I started to recognise, hang on, I was really stable a moment ago. Now I've got this swirling feeling happening within me that's uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. That's not mine. And I started to recognise that my energy, if you like, or my sensitivity was, and we all have this, was radiating out everywhere and picking up other people's feelings. That's what it is. You pick up the feelings in the atmosphere around you that people are emitting out into the world around us, basically. So I started to really look at this and look at people who were coming to see me as clients and with anxiety. And what I noticed is, I would say 99.9% of them are what I would call a sensitive. So when we're sensitive like that, there's so many signals coming in from people everywhere and from our atmosphere that you really become quite overwhelmed. You really do. So we need something that's going to anchor us in ourselves, into our own being, if you like. Really ground you. Yeah. And for me, that was meditation, daily meditation, and breathing. So that really helps, because breathing is like an anchor that we can really use, because it's the one thing we're always taking with us. I really got to a point where I wasn't coping with anxiety. So the funny thing is, I had this little torn out piece of paper from The Age, I remember that, and it was on meditation. And I thought, what is this piece of paper? I don't remember ever tearing it out of the paper at all. And I kept throwing this piece of paper away, I thought, and it would start appearing again. And in the end, when I wasn't coping, I thought maybe this is a sign that I should learn meditation. So I went and I learnt meditation. So from then on, I meditated twice a day, every day. And what that did it enabled me to have that sense of knowing what was my feelings in my balance and what was someone else's. So I found that once I really recognised what was going on and understood the energies, it worked for me in my life, because when I was seeing people and helping people with anxiety or overwhelm or stress or whatever it might have been, I could feel their feelings and know where they were sitting and ask all the right questions to bring up their emotional state. So it's really actually worked for me. So there's a lot of very positive points about being a sensitive. It's when it takes us over and we don't know how to use it and it overwhelms us that it becomes a problem. It's very uncomfortable, but it really has a gift to it as well.
What advice would you like our viewers to take away?
There's so many things I could say. I think one of the important things that I will say, the first thing I would advise anybody to do is to learn to breathe correctly. Because when we're in overwhelm, the breath closes down. What I mean by that is you start to hold your breath a bit, it becomes more shallow and the body contracts in a bit more and the overwhelm takes you over. So if you could hold your balance by anchoring into your breath. Even anyone listening now, if you just put your attention on your breathing and just see what it's doing, then deepen it. Just bit by bit, just deepen your breath. Just take it that little bit deeper, a bit rounder, a bit softer, a bit fuller. And that, if you do that even for about a couple of minutes, even 5 minutes, you will start to feel a calmness coming through you and your energy expands out a bit, your life force, your aura, and you feel in your body much more grounded and much more centered in yourself. So you can actually go out into the world and you feel a lot better about who you are. So it really does work with both parts of the brain, left and right hemispheres of the brain, the nervous system. It balances our energy. And that's proven now scientifically. But my breath, that is one thing that I have used up the whole journey to actually hold me balanced. It's a wonderful thing. And as I started to say before, we've always got it with us. You can't leave home without it. So we don't have to, where did I put my breathing? It's there. It's there with us the whole time. So it's a wonderful gift we've been given by life, and it certainly helps with overwhelm.
Thank you, Christine.
My pleasure, Megan.
If you'd like to know more about understanding overwhelm and sensitivity and Christine Hart-Savage, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
After the break, animal communicator and therapist Carolyn Pope demystifies animal craniosacral therapy. Welcome back. Today we have Carolyn Pope in the studio. She is an animal communicator and therapist, and today we are going to be demystifying animal craniosacral therapy. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Yes. Now tell me, can you explain what animal craniosacral therapy is?
Pretty much the same as human craniosacral therapy. A lot of people will know it as CST for short. Derived from osteopathy. It's a very hands-on therapy, but literally the most pressure you're putting on is that of a 5-cent piece. So it's much more allowing the body what it needs to do rather than trying to force the body, because what a therapist thinks the body needs to do versus what the body knows it needs to do can kind of be a bit like the Montagues and the Capulets, really. So it's very gentle and it's releasing restrictions, allowing the cranial rhythm to re-establish a correct path, and the animals benefit greatly from it. Yeah, so the most pressure I'm putting on is literally that of a 5-cent piece. And I often say to my clients, it's like watching paint dry, because they're just sitting and the dog or cat may close its eyes, it may lay down. You're not seeing much. But what's actually going on internally, there's a lot of recalibrating, and it's really, really big. If you ever have a CST yourself, you're going to feel a difference. And that's why I actually collaborate with a vet, because she will bounce information to me, or I will say to her, yeah, not quite sure about X or Y, can you please check that out? Because no one person can fix everything. And often if I'm feeling restrictions, say for example in the spine, everything runs off the spine. So the moment the animal's movement is compromised, so is its digestion, its elimination. Dog may well be having heart problems, for example. All the nerves for the heart innervate out of the parietal bone and go down through the thoracic. So if your dog's got problems in its thoracic area or the parietal bone's jammed, that makes a huge difference to what the dog's heart is doing, and its medication may need to be adjusted. Everything interreacts with everything else. It's the one body. We're past the days of saying, oh, this is good for the heart. The fact that your liver's going to keel over in 6 months has got nothing to do with it. It's that integrative, holistic approach.
And how did you get into it and why?
Started with cranial for myself because I had thyroid problems at the time and really, really bad migraines. And CST actually got rid of them. I was literally being injected every second day with really heavy duty stuff, didn't need anything. Because I'm me, I pushed my therapist to work on a horse I had at the time, and I'd had him for, I think, 6 years by that stage. Great horse, but he'd always been tetchy to put a bridle on. Deb released his temporals, which are temporal bones, which are basically releasing around the ears. And from that day on, I never had another issue with a bridle. And of course, that got my very instant and undivided attention. Started exploring it, spoke to a few clients about it, but unfortunately I wasn't able to afford it at the time. Had a phone call one day, picked it up, and it was one of the clients. They'd banded together and went, right, you're going to owe us X amount of CSTs. There's a course coming up. This is where it is. We've paid for it. Off you go. So I was incredibly lucky. And from the first day, I was just hooked.
And can you explain exactly what it is you do?
Animal will come in. I also use a bioenergetic handheld device because it speeds things up and it helps calm the animal, because no animal likes being on a table. I mean, obviously horses aren't going to go on a table. That's a little different. But most animals don't like heights in the same way I'm terrified of it. So it helps. And it's literally a hands-on therapy. I can start sometimes at the back end. Other times I'll start with one hand under the chest or the neck or the head. It really depends on the individual animal and also where they're comfortable, because a lot of animals, particularly dogs, can be quite head shy. Or if their neck's really sore, they're not going to want you putting hands on, and trust is earned. It's not given. And if a dog's got a really big problem, or any animal at one end, starting at the other builds up trust and releases the restriction. So by the time you get to where the problem really is, they're not worried. And a lot of the time they'll literally lie down and just pass out, which is really nice.
And what sort of ailments do you treat?
Pretty much anything in the age bracket. Arthritis, stiffness, can help with a lot of dogs that start getting lack of proprioception and neurological as they get older. Vestibular disease in dogs and cats is a big one. Epilepsy, pretty much encephalitis, pretty much anything, because it improves health. It's no different to you. It's being proactive rather than reactive. And of course, the earlier you can get to something, if you can, it's the same as us. If you start treating whiplash within the first 48 hours with anti-inflammatories, your long-term prognosis is going to be quite different. If your dog's leapt off the beach wall and crashed onto the rocks or whatever, getting onto it in the first 24 to 72 hours, the dog's going to have a lot less issues than if you wait 6 months and all the compensatory patterns have built up. No different to us. You really need to be proactive, and long term it's cheaper too to be proactive rather than reactive. I say to people, change of seasons, but you may well find that your dog or cat needs one session a week if they're acute or it's been let go for a really long time, for 4 or 5 weeks, and you may get down to one trip a month. But if you stretch it out to 6 weeks, you might be back to where you are. And it's not fair to our animal friends to leave them in pain when we can make some lifestyle adjustments and change the quality of life so very, very much. Because at the end of the day, quantity is great, don't get me wrong. We all want our animals to live to an old age, But if there's no quality, it's all irrelevant. And this is where holistic health and, in my case, craniosacral therapy makes such a difference. It's about the quality of life. And the more we can do to improve that, the happier everyone is.
And can you please give us some advice on how to have a healthy and happy animal?
Be proactive. I generally say every change of season, as they start to age from about the age of 6, possibly 4 with the larger dogs, because of course there's all that, the rate of aging. But just stuff like all your moodle-oodles and anything with hair under the pads, trim it back, because otherwise it's like you walking in socks instead of bare feet. They slide, they hurt themselves. Tiles, floating floor, timber laminate, polished floorboards, really bad for dogs and aged cats. I know they're a pain, but carpet runners are your best friend, and they can literally, in a lot of cases, be the difference between an animal being on painkillers and not, because every time they slide or scrabble, that's all we see. They experience a lot of pain. Just getting your flooring right, that's where your dog or cat spends 80 to 90% of their time. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Carolyn. That was really interesting and very educational. For those interested in learning more about Carolyn Pope and animal craniosacral therapy, please head to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and hang around for after the break. We have another amazing guest. Stay tuned. After the break, health and wellness expert Dr Zara Celik is talking about Turkish Hammam ritual.
And for our next guest, we have Dr Zara Celik back with us, our integrative health and wellness expert. And today she's talking to us about hammam ritual. So welcome, Dr Zara.
Thank you.
And what is a hammam?
Great question. So a lot of people, I'm sure our viewers will be wondering, what is a hammam? Because quite frankly, it's, we don't have it in Australia, right? Or it's not common in Australia, but very common in Middle East and Europe. It goes back to 7th century, and it is typically a space that is designed for a bath house. It's like a bath house, just to make it simple for our viewers. So it is designed, usually it has a very high ceilings. It's a dome shaped, and you can literally see the sky. That's a typical traditional design. Now, of course, we're not going to get that in Australia, but what is also part of a hammam is when you step into a hammam, it is heated floor. It is all heated throughout. It has a beautiful marble that's also heated, and it's an amazing slab where people can lie down or sit on it to experience the ritual and the benefits of the ritual. And of course, there's also steam and lots of water for purification, for grounding, for relaxation, and also for cleansing. So that water element, the whole copper and the marble and amazing, beautiful dome ceilings is what really makes the hammam special. And the most important is the hammam ritual itself, which is just divine. It has numerous benefits on the mind. It has numerous benefits on the nervous system, on the physical body, to bring the body to calm, to ease. It is nurturing. It is healing. It is purifying, detoxifying, rejuvenating, ancient ritual, which goes back to 7th century. So there's a lot of wisdom in this ritual. And the nurturing component is what makes it very special. That is lacking in our modern world. Nurturing is lacking, unfortunately. So people love to be nurtured. They want to go back to the ancient time and experience what those people experienced. With the body, though, there is the exfoliation, which people also loves. It has benefits, as I said, on the physical body. It's on the skin. So there is a kesa glove that is used, which is only used in hammam rituals, which again makes it unique, to remove the dead skin, to get that dead layers of the skin off, where skin's able to breathe, detox efficiently. And with that, there is a technique, there is a rhythm, and it's done in a methodical way,
when the dead skin's coming off, there's a lot of blood circulation that is coming to the skin surface. While that dead layers of skins are rolling off like little mini spaghettis, there's lots of blood circulation. And what is blood circulation? It's, collagen stimulation, elastin stimulation, hyaluronic acid boosting. And then the skin is glowing, it is lush, it is smooth, it's healthy because that dead layers just come off, and it is breathing and it is detoxifying naturally. So the skin's glowing, that's a beautiful benefit on the skin. But also, as you're lying down on that marble bench, Linda, the muscles are relaxed, the joints are relaxed, the mind just drifts off. It's completely still. You're not thinking about the modern life. And that's, again, what makes it beautiful. And that's what also it is mostly now sought by many people in the modern life. They want to really bring calm to the mind because it's overworking, it's overfiring. There's a lot of stress. So people love it for that because it really gives a pause to the mind to be still, to be at that very moment, to connect with self while being nurtured. So that's beautiful. But the muscles are relaxed, the body is completely relaxed, so it helps with aches and pains. That's also is another reason people seek out the hammam rituals. There's also the brides, they get ready. There's beautiful rituals around getting a bride ready. It's cleansing, purifying, detoxifying, and getting her to connect with the inner self to be ready for that. So there's so much behind that. It's not just a physical level. I want to also point that out as well. There is mother and baby ritual. There is a pregnancy ritual. It is so diverse. It is so beautiful. And, there's that ancient wisdom behind that. Clearly, if they practice that for such a long time, for many, many centuries, there has to be something to it. And that's what people are wanting to experience day to day. And one thing that is my favorite in the hammam ritual is that luxurious, silky, gliding, beautiful soap bubble massage. It's poured all over the body with a beautiful cloth. The whole body is just covered with that beautiful soap bubbles and just massage through. That is my favorite.
And for our viewers out there, how often can people have them, and is it for all ages?
Yeah, sure. With my girls, for example, they started when they were a week old. Now it is done a little bit different. So they were more in a beautiful copper ball and literally just swimming in that lots of water. And then they usually hand exfoliate instead of using a kesa glove. As they grow, then there's a beautiful silk one that we use. Any age group can go in and benefit amazing nurturing rituals. As I said, it is all about nurturing. It is all about cleansing, purifying. But with babies, of course, it's about nurturing, and they love that. They need that, right? So anyone can do it. As I said, my girls started when they were little. There is no age limit, and there is no time limit. You can experience it as long as you want. But I know with the modern life, people don't put time aside for themselves. And with that, I say, if you can do it once a month, brilliant. But traditionally, it is done every week.
Thank you for that, Zara.
My pleasure, Linda.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and the hammam ritual, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we'll say bye-bye until next week.
If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.